Well, I have been a busy bee. I'm down here in southern Mexico, in Chiapas, in the city of Tapachula. This is where the vast majority of the migrants who are coming up from Central America stop in at to try and get travel visas so that they can make their way through Mexico up to the US border. This is a tropical town. It is hot and humid, and we are in, I believe, rainy season because it's raining pretty much every day for at least a couple of hours. So I'm walking up now past some of the downtown core and towards a spot where a lot of the migrants can come and get services, and I believe I'm right across the street from it, actually, right here. This is the Frey. What's the name of it? The Human Rights Center, Fray Matias de Cordova, is right here. So, yeah, this is a spot where the migrants can get aid. Looks like legal aid, maybe possibly some food aid. I have been corresponding with these folks via email, and of course it's Sunday today, and so they're closed. But I'm going to stop by tomorrow and see if I can chat with the lady that I've been emailing back and forth with. It looks like she's back in the office. If we continue further up the street, we're going to get to the Hidalgo Park, which is in the middle of town, and it's kind of where a lot of the migrants will hang out during the day. So this central core of Tapachula is a spot where there's a fair amount of folks who are begging. There's lots of street vendors selling various things, and it's a spot where the migrants can find a place to, I guess, fit in, make some money, and then potentially continue on their way further north. A fair amount of people, from what I understand, talking to some taxi drivers, some other folks here in town, do stay. So they'll get this far, and then quite often they will not want to continue and work on getting asylum here in Mexico and stick around for that. So I'm going to click this off. I'm going to get to the central square and turn this back on. All right. In the Hidalgo Park area, it is a cacophony of sounds. But this is where, in the non-rainy times, you're going to get a lot of different people from all over the world hanging out down here. So, why did I come down to Tapachula? So just to give you some context, well, I'll throw it up on a map, but I'm in about as far south in Mexico as you can get. This is the main crossing point for folks who are working their way north through Central America on their way to the United States. And so this is where pretty much everybody funnels through who's not taking a plane and flying into Mexico and then working their way north, which Mexico has over the years been cracking down on and trying to stop people from doing, flying into Mexican cities and then working their way north. So what that's done is it's squeezed more people through Tapachula than had traditionally been. So, I mean, you had maybe in the low thousands in the 2010s, and then as you're getting, or early 2010s, as you're getting closer to the present, those numbers really start swelling, especially under late Obama, Trump, and then especially Biden. The idea in much of Central and South America is that under Biden, the U.S. is maintaining a de facto open border policy, and that if you want to get into the U.S., better make it happen. So that's why we've seen a lot of the big surges of folks who've come north. As I'm kind of scanning across the crowd, you can see people from all over. Lots of Haitians, Venezuelans, Cubans, who are ostensibly probably working on getting travel visas. Mexico has been cracking down on folks in central and northern Mexico who don't have the proper documentation to be there, which they would need to go through the immigration office in a place here like Tapachula to get. Now, from what I understand, the process of getting that paperwork is labyrinthine and deliberately opaque and complex to try and stop the numbers of people who are coming through. So that leaves lots of people basically to sit in Tapachula and be working on getting paperwork done. Oftentimes it sounds like picking up odd jobs. One of the reasons I decided to come down here was that with the enforcement effort that I've documented happening in northern Mexico, and from what I've read in central Mexico, it sounded like there were going to be a ton of migrants down here. As in, I was thinking potentially in the low millions of folks basically camped out in and around Tapachula, because this was hypothetically where they were getting bottled up by the Mexican government after they got shipped out of further north. That does not appear to be the case. There are a lot of migrants here, but what I'm not seeing is mass encampments like I was fearful of. It looks like, in talking to the folks here, that most migrants are living in houses or hotels or largely not camping. And so that tells me that Tapachula itself, it's definitely a migrant town. There's a lot of migrant services here, lots of shelters, but it's not being overwhelmed with the number of people that are here. And that's generally what I'm hearing from the folks that I'm talking to. People down here are kind of camera shy, so having a hard time getting actual interviews, but I'm talking to a lot of folks, and this is the general impression that I'm getting. So this is also the part of the year when migration tends to slow a bit, just because it gets so hot further north. But even still, I would have thought there would be more people here, and there's just not. So one of the things that one of the more knowledgeable taxi drivers was telling me was that he thinks that, there's a lot of migrants, that a lot of them are kind of spread out through a lot of the towns throughout Mexico, just kind of laying low if they don't have their travel documentation, or if they do, knowing that things at the U.S. border are a lot more strict, maybe they're kind of slow playing their journey and not heading north maybe quite as quickly as they might otherwise. The U.S. has, under Biden, of course, essentially threatened to immediately deport people who are not entering the U.S. using the CBP-1 app. Although, talking to Customs and Border Protection officers, that does not appear to be what's actually happening when people get to the border, especially if they're from countries that we are having a hard time extraditing to. So, I will continue to try and find people down here to chat with in English for an interview on just what we're looking at immigration-wise. But yeah, we're not seeing the crowds that I had thought. So, interesting data point. So So I wanted to give everybody just a quick view of the managed chaos that is Parque Hidalgo, where the citizens of the world meet. So I'm going to do a quick pan here. We've got the church in the center, and it's Sunday afternoon, so there's lots of people about. It's been raining all day, finally cleared up. All kinds of people. Which is cool. Everybody's festive. It's a good feeling in the air. We are back in central Tapachula, and I have my friend Christian with me today. So Christian is going to be our guide to Tapachula. He's a local expert. He's in the hospitality industry, amongst other things. And so I'm looking forward to picking his brain with as many questions as I can come up with on Tapachula, the history of town, the migration situation, everything that is interesting about being in southern Mexico. So, Christian, how are you doing today?
I am good.
Nice. Awesome. So, there are not a lot of people in this part of Mexico who speak English. But,
Oh,
Christian, where did you learn to speak English? Because your English is really good.
where did I learn?
Yes.
Well, speaking with guys like you.
Okay.
You know, when I was a child, I lived 1 year in Los Angeles.
Okay.
That also.
Okay. Cool. So, what took you to the U.S.? Why did you live there?
My grandfather took me there
Okay.
to live with him
For a year?
for a year, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so you and your friends and you would all speak English together, or were you?
I didn't go to school when I was living there,
Okay.
but I heard English everywhere.
Okay.
So that's how on TV with the guys I was playing at the street,
I see.
things like that.
Okay. And so, is it pretty common for most people in Mexico to learn at least some English from being exposed to U.S. news or advertising or movies or things like that?
Yeah, a lot of people, they would like to learn English because it is very helpful when you travel,
Right.
when you
okay.
want to get a job, it helps you.
Okay, yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we see a lot of migrants here. Is these are folks who are generally coming through Tapachula to work their way north through Mexico
Yeah.
and eventually go to the US.
Yeah.
Okay, now Tapachula is the primary spot that people come through once they cross into Mexico from Guatemala, correct?
Yeah, because they can stay for free. I mean, they don't need a permission to get to stay here.
I see. Okay, we are gonna need to cross the street.
Where?
Here, we can cross over here. Walking on narrow streets in Mexico is always an adventure. We have definitely done this before. So what types of people, like people from what countries, are we likely to see as we're walking through Tapachula?
Well, let's find out. Maybe
Okay.
Cubans,
Okay,
Haitians,
okay,
Venezuelans, Guatemalans.
okay. Now, most of these folks, they speak Spanish,
Yeah. Well,
obviously,
people
but
from Latin America, of course, they speak Spanish.
is it common for Haitians to speak Spanish?
No, they don't speak Spanish.
Okay, they're primarily French or Creole?
French. They speak French.
Okay. Do they have a harder time getting around, getting services when they come to a place like Tapachula because they don't speak Spanish? Or
Not
do
too
they
much.
learn pretty quick?
Yeah, they learn pretty quick. That's what I've seen. They learn pretty quick,
Okay.
and they don't get any trouble.
Yes, okay, I understand. So when the migrants come here to Tapachula, are they usually just passing through, or do they stay a lot of times for longer periods of time?
They stay here because they need to get a permission to cross to other places in the country,
Okay,
so they can go to the United States.
okay.
That's the final goal.
Well, so what happens if they don't get a visa, travel visa, or a permission to travel through Mexico?
They always get it.
Oh, they always get it?
Yeah.
Okay,
They never stay in Tapachula.
I see. So, but do they ever leave Tapachula before they get their travel visa and just try and make it through the country without?
Sorry,
Or
what?
do they ever leave Tapachula without getting their travel visa to try and do it without? Or
They get a permission to leave Tapachula, so they can go to other cities in Mexico.
I see.
And sometimes they stay in Tijuana and all of that cities that are in the north of Mexico, close to the United States,
Okay.
so they can cross to the United States.
What happens if they don't have a travel visa and they get caught outside of Tapachula without one? Let's say they make it to Mexico City and they don't have a travel visa. What happens to them?
Well, sometimes they get back to Tapachula by the police, they get caught and they take them out to Tapachula, or
okay.
sometimes even take them back to their countries.
Okay, so it's possible that they get deported back to their country or brought back here to Tapachula.
Yeah.
Do you see, and I don't know how often you spend time around migrants, but do you think it's relatively common for people to wind up getting transported back to Tapachula
Yes.
often?
No, because they always get the permission to stay in other cities.
I see, okay.
Yeah, they don't leave if they don't have the permission.
I see.
It's not an option for them.
Okay. So if they're in danger of getting sent back, maybe they go to the immigration office in whatever city they're in, and they're able to get their travel visa there and then maybe stay for a bit or work their way further north.
It's not a visa, it's a permission only.
Oh, okay.
They get the permission, and sometimes they get the nationality also
I see.
with the years.
Oh, okay.
There is a permission named FM3, creo.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think FM3, that's the permission they get.
FM3.
And
Okay.
they can go to any city in the country.
I see.
But their goal, their final goal, is to go to the United States.
Okay. Does that permission allow them to work here in Mexico?
Yes, of course, they
I
can
see.
work.
Okay. Okay, but ultimately the goal is to make more money maybe by going to the US.
Yes, and work over there.
Okay.
Work in the United States.
Okay. Okay. So we're in the central part of Parque Hidalgo. What are we looking at here? What are these buildings?
All these people from a lot of countries.
Okay. Is this a famous main church in Tapachula?
Yes, his name is Parroquia.
Parroquia.
La Parroquia.
Okay. And this is a museum here?
No, it used to be the Palacio del Pueblo,
Okay.
where the president runs the town.
I see.
It used to be, now it's over there.
Oh, okay. Oh, a newer, more modern building.
Yeah, that was Antiguo Palacio.
gracias.
That's Antiguo Palacio,
Okay.
and that's the new Palacio,
Okay.
el Nuevo Palacio.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so there's a lot of market activity around here. I see a lot of different kinds of people. Do you
Yes.
think that the people who stand out, who look different, are likely migrants?
Of course,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, they are.
Okay, so maybe people come here, they stay for a little bit. Especially I can see over here, there's maybe some Haitians. I think there's a big market along the street back behind
Yes.
the Palacio. Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, so tell me about life here in Tapachula.
Life
maybe,
in Tapachula.
Maybe we can find some shade.
Yeah.
It's hot. It's hot and humid. I think we're probably looking at getting up close to 90 degrees with maybe 70, 75% humidity. So you definitely feel it. Maybe there's a spot to sit over here. It's actually a nice square. We were in here yesterday and got to see the big Sunday crowds, which was fun. So what is it like living here in Tapachula? How long have you lived here?
I've been here for 5 years
Okay.
because I used to live in Mexico City.
Okay.
I studied over there, the university.
Yes.
And I stayed for 10 years.
Okay.
But I was born near to Tapachula in Wixla.
Wixla. Okay.
Yes.
That's the next town over.
Exactly.
Okay.
20 minutes by
Okay.
car.
Okay.
See?
Nice. So what brought you back here from Mexico City?
Oh, well,
Slower pace of
I
life?
ended up here because of COVID.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yes.
Okay. Did COVID affect Mexico pretty
Mexico
strongly?
City, yeah, a lot.
Okay.
So I came to Tapachula, it was more calm, and it was easier for me to stay here.
I see. Okay. Okay. And do you like life here?
I think it's nice.
Okay.
You know, you have seen the city.
Yes.
It's good,
Peaceful.
peaceful, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the word to describe Tapachula. Peaceful.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I thought that I would see more migrants here than I see.
There used to be a lot.
There used to be a
thousands.
lot?
Yeah,
Okay.
you couldn't even walk because there were so many people
Down
Yeah.
here in the
in
park?
Central Park. Yeah,
Okay.
it was full of people.
Were they staying in tents and
No.
camping?
No, only on the floor.
Just on the ground.
on the floor. They slept on the floor.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That must have been interesting.
Yes.
So that stopped when? Several months ago?
I would say a year ago.
About a year ago, most of the people
Yes.
started leaving.
See.
So are there fewer people now coming into Tapachula from Guatemala?
I don't know if it's fewer people, but I think they are getting the permission faster than they used to.
Okay. Okay.
So they stay only maybe 1 week,
I
maybe
see.
1 month.
I see.
They used to stay for months
Okay.
before that.
Okay.
Now the permission goes very quickly,
I see.
so they leave Tapachula.
Yeah.
They go to Oaxaca, then Mexico City, then Tijuana.
Okay. Okay. So you think that the people who would normally be here are probably further north now just because they can get their travel documentation to get out of town, to get into places where it might be easier to stay or easier to work their way north?
Of course.
Okay. Because I know right now it's the Mexican government is using the Guardia Nacional, the Ejército, the army, and the state police to stop people from reaching the border. And I know from reporting and traveling along the northern border that the cartel has made it very expensive for even Mexicans to cross into the United States. And so I had thought when I came down here that there would be a lot more migrants because I've seen the police and the National Guard arresting migrants in the north, and I thought they would be bringing them all down here to Tapachula, but it looks like that may not be happening. There's not that many people down here.
I don't know, maybe they are leaving quickly, you know? They stay
I
every
see.
few days here, but they have to come to Tapachula
Yeah,
because it's the only city where
Yeah.
they can get into Mexico.
I see.
The only city.
Okay. Okay, so there's a train that comes through not Tapachula itself, but a little bit south of town.
Yes.
There's a port, Tapachula's port, and there's a train line that runs down there. From what I've read, a lot of the migrants will catch the train to be able to travel further north.
Yes.
They call the train La Bestia,
La Bestia,
the
yeah,
beast.
the beast. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've heard about what that process is like? I've heard it's dangerous.
Of course, it is very dangerous for them because sometimes they fell off the train and some things happen to them.
Okay. And when they fall off, a lot of times they'll get hurt. And do they ever come back here into Tapachula?
Yes.
Okay.
Almost all the time they come back.
Okay. For medical care.
They don't have medical care.
Oh, they don't?
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. So what happens to them?
Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe sometimes they lose one arm.
Oh.
They
okay.
go to a hospital, but only for a few days.
Okay.
Then they get back to the streets.
Okay.
Hola, ¿cómo están ustedes?
Hola, hola.
Estamos pidiendo un apoyo, una colaboración, somos venezolanos.
Venezuelans.
Hace unos días nos robaron, nos quitaron todo. nos
They were robbed.
secuestraron.
Oh.
Y estamos pidiendo apoyo, si me pueden ayudar con algo.
Did they travel up from
Para la comida,
Central
porque los
America?
niños no han comido
Venezuela.
nada.
yeah through the Darien Gap?
¿Cómo entran a México? Dice, ¿qué países cruzan?
Pasamos la selva del Darién,
Sí.
Panamá, Costa Rica,
Okay.
Nicaragua,
Okay.
Honduras,
So you
Guatemala.
passed through the Darien. Was that hard? Was that difficult?
En la selva del Darién es muy peligrosa,
Okay.
pero también es muy peligroso la entrada. Dígale que me secuestraron en los cárteles aquí en
She was
Texas.
kidnapped by the cartels.
Oh.
Y me robaron $300.
¿En dónde?
En los cárteles, a 10 kilómetros antes de entrar aquí a
Aquí a
Tapachula. Secuestraron a 300 personas.
300 people were kidnapped.
Okay. When here in Tapachula?
10 kilómetros antes de entrar.
And so what can you translate what she's saying?
Yes, of course. Yo te
In
puedo traducir lo que dices. ¿Y qué les pasó?
Mi mamá pagó y
Bueno,
lo soltaron al siguiente día.
$300 que era lo que tenía para continuar mi camino. No continué y entonces hubo un grupo que sí continuó y acaban de matar 2 colombianos en Viva México
Ok.
y volvieron a secuestrar al grupo venezolano. Toda esta área está llena de secuestradores,
Ya.
de cárteles.
Ok.
Explíquele eso para que él se cuide.
Sí.
okay,
Sí.
what's she saying?
Oh.
¿Le da miedo decirle? Para
No.
asustarlo?
No es por eso, sino que es otra cosa.
So she came up, she was robbed and then
Yeah.
kidnapped by the cartel?
Sí.
Well-
That's what she's saying,
Right.
We don't know the true story, but that's what she's saying.
I see. So what did she say about getting kidnapped? Was it right around here?
That it was only one day,
Okay.
and then the next day she left.
Uh-huh.
She was released.
Dígale que estoy
Ajá.
pidiendo una colaboración para comer.
She
para
needs.
los niños,
She's asking for money because she needs to eat.
I see.
The kids need to eat.
para los children.
See. Pero can we ask her a few questions about her journey?
Que si te puedo hacer unas preguntas sobre tu viaje.
Sí, sí,
Okay.
claro.
What happened when she got kidnapped by the cartel? What did they want?
¿Qué querían los que te secuestraron?
Dinero.
Dinero. Money.
How much?
Money.
Dinero y uno de ellos quería violar.
Okay.
And what did she say?
It's a hard sin that happened to her.
I see. Okay. So she might have been taken advantage of by the cartel
Yeah.
in a sexual way.
Dígale que el que no paga lo matan.
And if you don't pay, then you get killed.
That's what she's saying. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's true,
Okay.
but that's what she's saying.
Did they threaten the kids as well?
The kids, ¿le pasó algo a los niños?
No, pero
nazi.
no les dieron comida,
Por
no
2
les
días,
daban.
no comimos por 2 días.
No le dan comida.
They didn't eat 2 days.
They did for 2 days.
For 2
How
days.
long ago was this?
¿Hace cuánto tiempo fue eso?
Hace unos días.
Hace 5
atrás.
días,
Hace
5
5
days
días.
ago.
5 days ago? Okay. And how long will she stay here in Tapachula before she moves north?
¿Cuánto tiempo vas a estar en Tapachula antes de irte?
No sé, tengo miedo.
¿Ya no te vas a ir? ¿Te quedas aquí?
Tengo miedo de
Mi mamá está
continuar.
pensando a ver si
Miedo,
sigue
tengo
continuando, pero
miedo.
tiene miedo por seguir continuando por todas las
Porque
noticias que
adelante mataron a los colombianos.
Ya.
So
Pero tú quieres ir a
she's
Estados
scared
Unidos.
to move
Sí.
further
Sí.
north. And so she's afraid that if she goes north that there will be more violence
Yeah.
from the Colombians?
No.
No, from the cartels.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. And
Okay.
from any other people too.
Okay, I see. Would she want to ride the train north, or is she just going to stay here in Tapachula?
Entonces te vas a quedar en Tapachula, dije.
Díganle que estoy buscando estrategias inteligentes para emigrar a Estados Unidos, porque no quiero arriesgar la vida de mis hijos.
Her goal is to go to the United States, and she's looking for intelligent ways to do it.
I see. But in the meantime, she needs to
She's going to
get
stay
some
here.
money for food.
She's
for
asking for money on the
lodging.
streets.
Yes. And
Yes.
this is all she can really do. There's no real work here.
Vas a buscar trabajo.
Yes.
Yes.
Sí,
Okay.
she's going to look for a job.
I see. Okay. Well, yes. Okay.
Dale la mano.
Thank you. Oh, soy Jesus.
Jesús.
Jesus. Well, thank you for your story.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Gracias.